Okay, we've got the KYMRON XH42, and as you can see here, I lost the track, so we'll go through the process on how to get this back on. To start, we'll remove this cover plate right here. Okay, it's a 13 millimeter, and we got 2 bolts. Okay, and if yours is like mine where it's got to this point, the track came off so bad, I guess before I caught it, that the roller sprocket here was not even touching the cylinder. So this tensioning cylinder sits inside of here. It's not mounted to anything, it's just fit in there and held under tension. And so it's got a coil spring here, and then the cylinder is moved in and out by the grease. So here's your grease adapter, your Zerk fitting that you would normally access from here. If you got the whole thing out, then we will remove the grease to collapse this. We'll get the roller sprocket back in the track. We'll make sure to wipe all this down really nice before we put it back in, and then head on to the next step. Okay, and to start, we're going to take the entire brass adapter out. Don't try to take it apart here. Just loosen it here to pull the entire thing out of here, because this is a spring-loaded sort of a check valve. We don't want to mess it up. Okay, so we got the grease Zerk adapter out. All right, when we got that adapter out, there won't be any grease that just naturally comes out. Most likely, you'll actually need to compress the cylinder a little bit to push some of the grease out. That way, when we put this back in, we got enough room to put the roller back in and still get the track on. Next step's to get our roller back in the channel, which has got our basically adapter here for the end of our cylinder. So we'll make sure those are clean. We'll get those fit together. Get the roller pushed back far enough to get the track over it. Okay, and what you may need to do is once you put the cylinder back in, if no grease came out, go ahead and slide the roller back in and hit the end of it with a sledgehammer or mallet to actually compress that cylinder, which will start to make the grease come out the other end. All right, and what I did was use a scrap piece of wood that I had around to beat on it with the sledgehammer instead of hitting right on the roller. All right, and if yours is anything like mine, it's very stiff. You're gonna have to beat on this thing for a few minutes. You basically gotta get this cylinder totally collapsed. You need this thing as far to the left as possible to get your track over it. And then you're gonna need a big trusty crowbar to help you out. Okay, this is a pain, but if you're new at this, you might need to lower the machine down a little bit to actually take out some of that slack to give you room to get it over the side. If you leave the machine too high, then you gotta try to stretch it over the back, and as a one-man job, it's a little bit difficult. But we got the front on the sprocket, and then with the help of the crowbar, I got the back of the track onto the rear roller. So with that in mind, that cylinder has collapsed all the way. You can see there's a lot of grease that's come out of there. It's it's been pushing out as we've been doing this work. So we'll clean that off. We'll put that brass adapter back in. We'll hit it with grease, tension the tracks properly, and then we'll be on our way. It is cold here. We've got snow, which I think is part of the problem, meaning basically I think I got some of those snow-covered rocks and mud and everything packed up in here. So most of the time it's operator error as far as losing your track. Also might not have had it tensioned properly from the start. So just things to keep in mind. This grease isn't totally frozen, but it is pretty hard, and it has been very cold, so I think that's part of the reason why it was so hard to collapse that cylinder and get it to release. Okay, we've got our track back on the front roller. We've got it on the sprocket. We got our grease adapter back in, which is a little bit of a pain. We've got it lifted up in the air a little bit, so we've got sag on the bottom, so we can measure a distance to the bottom roller. And now we're at the point where we can take our grease gun, put it on a Zerk fitting, and pump that sprocket out until we get the proper tension. Okay, it just takes a standard grease gun or a powered grease gun, whatever you got. As far as the grease, it's nothing specific. You may be using red or gray grease, just standard automotive style grease. I've got some red in here. Okay, I've got it pumped full. And the way I know that is to properly tension the tracks, we're looking at the center rollers. All right, you don't really want to tension it near the ends. You want to be looking at the center. And it may be hard to see, but the roller here is just slightly getting into the middle of the teeth. And the high point of the roller right here should be about a 1/2 inch from the top of the tooth on the track. So looking for about a 1/2 inch from here to here, which means this part of the roller should be right near the top. A little bit hard to see, but that should get you pretty close. We'll put our cover plate back on this side, and then we will check the other side. Okay, since we got it up in the air, greasing the other track tensioner, we're checking this side, and you can see that it's pretty sloppy. Probably the reason why we lost the track to begin with. So this is a good time to check it. Here's a little clearer picture. You can see the gap between the tread and the roller. This part of the bottom part of the roller should be slightly below the top of the track. And this part right here, the roller that actually rolls on the track, should be about a 1/2 inch from the top of that. So we'll pull that cover plate off, tension that track, and we should be good to go. Okay, now we've got this side tightened up. Should be pretty good. Both sides are ready to roll. Once again, this is the KYMRON XH42, which is an 8,400 pound machine. Hopefully this video helps you. If you've got some good tips, things that'll make this easier, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you'd like more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like this video, and there'll be more videos to come.